Hello, thank you for joining us on the news bulletin from CBATV, the voice of East Africa and beyond. My name is Ajara Ahmed Tijani. Now the headlines. Turkey condemns Mogadishu hotel attack that kills about 9 and several wounded. Horrific blast by Al-Shabaab militant claims my bosom friend, says activist. Jubaland leader meets with UN envoy over election process. Libyan delegate meets to designate new PM. On COVID-19, government cautions Nigerians to prevent second lockdown. Now the news in full. Somalia's government announced the end of a 7-hour deadly siege in the capital Mogadishu on Sunday night, which left about 9 people dead and several wounded.
Mohamed Noor Galal, a well-known retired general and former defense minister, was among those confirmed killed in the attack on the popular Hotel Afrique. The hotel, located along a strategic road linking downtown Mogadishu with the international airport, is frequented by politicians, lawmakers, and senior civil servants. Security forces were able to rescue dozens of people from the hotel during the siege. Militant group Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack. Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo and the country's Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble sent condolences following Galal's death. Both leaders urged Somali people to unite against the terrorist group of Al-Shabaab. Police said all 4 Al-Shabaab militants who stormed Hotel Afrique were killed. A car bomb exploded near the hotel early Sunday, beginning a shootout between militants and security forces. Police say Al-Shabaab members stormed the hotel and many of the people inside were rescued, including Somalia's former State Minister for Defense, Yusuf Siad Inda'ate. A VOA reporter, Abdikafi Yusuf Aden, was also inside the hotel at the time and survived. There was confusion and thick smoke rose up and the blast occurred. People were jumping down over the wall as we ran for our lives, Aden told VOA Somalia. Aden said he saw at least 3 people injured where he was hiding, but was unable to confirm what happened outside or on the other side of the hotel.
Turkey government has strongly condemned the Mogadishu hotel attack, which killed at least 9 people, including a well-known retired general, Mohamed Noor Galal. Turkey said it will stand by governments and people of Somalia in their fight against terrorism.
Turkey government has strongly criticized the Mogadishu hotel attack on Sunday night, which killed at least 9 people and injured an unspecified number. In a statement, the Turkey government said they are saddened by the news of the attack, which they alleged Al-Shabaab fighters. The statement reads that Turkey government will continue to stand by the government and people of Somalia in their fight against terrorism and extended condolence to the families and friends who lost their loved ones in the attack. Somali forces brought an end to hours-long gun and pump siege on Mogadishu hotel by Al-Shabaab fighters on Sunday. A well-known former military general was among those killed in the dramatic attack that began at Afrique Hotel, used by politicians, elders, and businessmen. The Turkish government is one of the most countries affected by the bombings in Somalia. Last month, a Turkish company constructing a highway partly funded by Doha were attacked. At least 4 people, including 2 Turkish nationals, were killed and 14 others wounded. Just days after the attack, the federal government of Somalia had emphasized that they will assure the security of the Turkish construction workers in the country.
A humanitarian activist and political analyst, Zakaria Ali Hassan, better known as Wajid, has recounted soberly a horrific bomb blast of a Mogadishu hotel by Al-Shabaab Islamists, which claimed lives of about 9 people, including his best friend, and many wounded. As the smoke rises from the site of the blast, Mogadishu was once more rocked by fighters of Al-Qaeda-linked Islamist group Al-Shabaab. The blast by Al-Shabaab militants killed at least 9 people, including retired Army General in hotel blast. Zakaria Ali, who granted our interview on the situation of things in Mogadishu, recounted with a broken voice the hapless incident which claimed the life of his friend.
Yesterday, spending my time with some of my friends in a place which is not so far from the hotel that has been targeted by Arash fighters yesterday. So a car laden with explosives that has been hit at the front gate of this hotel called Afrique Hotel has been placed, and the responsibility of that suicide car bomb against the hotel has been claimed by Al-Shabaab fighters. More than 9 people have been killed. The spokesperson of the Somali police, told to the media more than others have been injured.
Speaking about the withdrawal of the U.S. troops from Somalia, the Carrier said there is a need for the nation to intensify efforts in strengthening the security apparatus of the region to curtail the incessant killings of innocent lives.
Al-Shabaab fighters themselves have reduced their own attacks against the hotel. So there is a weakness, and there can be a weakness in a country that has been without function state almost 2 or 3 decades. So the government of the country is still, trying to bring peace and stability in this devastated country. And you know that, Al-Shabaab fighters, are still waging a war against the government of Somalia almost 10 years. And this is a fragile government being backed by Western countries and, armed some troops. Al-Shabaab fighters lost some strategic positions in the country, but still they have the capacity and the capability to carry out roadside bomb, suicide bomb, target assassinations against the government authorities. And all these circumstances and challenges, can happen in a country that has been without faction state almost 3 decades. So really, the Somalis, wherever they are, is still calling for the government of the country to have a talks with Al-Shabaab fighters, because every day we can see innocents or government authorities being killed or being massacred, daily in their country. So all these problems really can be solved with talks, as the Somalis, including me, are still calling for the government of the country to have a talks with Al-Shabaab fighters.
The attack comes at a crucial time for Somalia. According to him, the attack comes at a crucial time for Somalia as the country was scheduled to hold indirect parliamentary and presidential elections before February 8. But with political disagreements, men in two regions won't take part in the vote. Political instability may once again worsen in Somalia. The Council of Opposition Presidential Candidates has welcomed the President's call for the regional state leaders for a consultative meeting as the political disagreements between the federal government and other political stakeholders have not yet been resolved.
The Council of Opposition Presidential Candidates has uploaded the country's President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo for inviting all the regional state leaders for a consultative meeting, which is expected to take place in Samareb of Galmudug State. The Council of the Presidential Candidates advised the federal government to increase the number of guests of the meeting and not to be just for the regional state leaders. They said the federal government should prioritize inviting the Speaker of the Upper House, who is representing Somaliland, and also the Council of the Opposition Presidential Candidate, who are the main political stakeholders in the country. For the past year, there have been political disagreements between the federal government and its member states over issues concerning the Federal Electoral Commission members, the Gather region, and the election date. Recently, Somalia President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo invited all the regional state leaders for a consultative meeting which is expected to take place in Samareb of Galmudug State of Somalia.
The Jubaland state leader of Somalia, Ahmed Madobe, has met with the UN envoy to Somalia, James Swan, due to the upcoming general elections in the country and resolving political disagreements between the federal government and some of its member states.
Jubaland President Ahmed Madobe has received the UN envoy to Somalia, James Swan, in Kismayo, the administrative city of the regional state. The two leaders hold talks over the electoral process dispute. The trip of the envoy would be his last round of federal member states tours to convince the leaders to come to the negotiation table to remove their political differences. Previously, James Swan visited Baidawa, Garowe, Samareb, Jowhar town is to hold talks with the country's regional state leaders. Puntland and Jubaland states have been at loggerheads with the federal government over the troops deployed in the Gather region. The two states also announced their representatives for the Federal Electoral Commission. Ahmed Madobe, Jubaland state leader, has last week vacated his stance against the electoral process and condition to full federal troops out from the Gather region. 2 days ago, Somalia President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo invited all regional state leaders for a consultative meeting, which is expected to take place in Dusamareb of Galmudug State.
Participants in the UN-sponsored Inter-Libyan Dialogue are meeting on Monday in order to choose a new Prime Minister and Presidential Council. A move that will help lead the transition in the conflict-ridden country, as many hope to see elections in December 2021. The 75 Libyan delegates will have until Friday to choose from a list of 45 candidates with key political leaders from both the eastern and the western authorities that have fought for power for years, but also from the south of the country. Since November 2020, a dialogue has been held in neighboring Tunisia to try to end the bloodshed that followed the fall of Libyan strongman Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. With the UN-backed government of national unity and the Tobruk parliament supporting General Khalifa Haftar agreeing to a ceasefire in October, Libya has never been closer to finding peace since the Arab Spring. From international scene, Myanmar's military has taken control of the country after detaining de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi and other politicians in the early hours.
The coup comes after tensions rose between the civilian government and the military following a disputed election. Myanmar, also known as Burma, was ruled by the military until democratic reforms began in 2011. The military said on Monday it was handing power to Commander-in-Chief Min Aung Hlaing because of election fraud. Soldiers are on the street of the capital, Nay Pyi Taw, and the main city Yangon. In November's election, Ms. Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy won enough seats to reform a government, saying Washington opposes any attempt to alter the outcome of recent elections or impede Myanmar's democratic transition. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for the release of all government officials and civil society leaders and said the U.S. stands with the people of Burma in their aspirations for democracy, freedom, peace, and development. The military must reverse these actions immediately. Special reporter from Myanmar Tom Andrews on the coup in Australia, Foreign Affairs Minister Maurice Payne said, "We call on the military to respect the rule of law, to resolve disputes through lawful mechanisms, and to release immediately all civilian leaders and others who have been detained unlawfully." For the moment, the military's action appears reckless and puts Myanmar on a perilous path.
Nigeria's Constitutional Court confirmed that a second round of the presidential election will take place later in February in a highly anticipated ruling pronounced on Sunday.
Nigeria's Constitutional Court confirmed that a second round of the presidential election would take place later in February in a highly anticipated ruling pronounced on Sunday. The court gave the ruling because no candidate won the needed majority for a first-round win in the December 27 vote. Former Prime Minister and favorite to win, Mohamed Bazoum of the ruling party, came first with 39.33% of the votes. He will go head-to-head with former President Mohamani Usmani, who placed second with 16.99% of votes, according to results announced by the Electoral Commission. Bazoum and Usmani must, for the second round, engage in negotiations with the 28 other candidates who did not place in a country where it appears that alliances are made and broken quickly. 18 opposition parties, including that of Usmani, gathered in the Coalition Cap 2021, called the failed candidate in the first round to join the candidacy of the former president. 10 other unsuccessful candidates in the first round, including former President Salou Djibo, have formed a second alliance, the Alliance of Candidates for Change, ACC, offering their support in the second round to any interested candidate in return for power sharing afterwards. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Isufu is stepping down after 2 5-year terms, which is expected to lead to Nigeria's first transfer of power between two democratically elected presidents. The incoming president will inherit several challenges, including rising violence from Islamic militants linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. According to the United Nations, attacks near the western border with Mali and Burkina Faso and southeastern border with Nigeria has led to the killings of hundreds of people, while some 500,000 refugees and others have been displaced from their homes. Kamil Sadiq reporting for CBATV.
Gambian President Adama Barrow has launched a new political party in a move that appears as a sign that he may be seeking to renew his mandate in spite of an earlier promise to step down.
Gambian President Adama Barrow has launched a new political party in a move that appears as a sign that he may be seeking to renew his mandate in spite of an earlier promise to step down. The National People's Party (NPP) was unveiled at a ceremony in the capital, Banjul. The president has not stated his intention if he will be the flag bearer of the party, which he registered a year ago for the December 4 presidential votes. In a televised broadcast of a meeting that saw a large crowd of delegates and supporters gathered at the Independence Stadium in Bakau, about 12 kilometers from the capital, Banjul, the 55-year-old politician said the NPP is the party of all categories based on the notion of true democratic and patriotic citizenship.
It is my appreciation of the faith and confidence that the Gambian population have in me.
Earlier, the parliament blocked a proposal in September that would have imposed a term limit on the presidency. The rejected draft constitution, which capped the top officer's tenure to 2 5-year mandates, also introduced new checks and balances on power and promoted secularism in the Muslim-majority nation. Meanwhile, the opposition has condemned the president for organizing such a big political event at a time when the second wave of COVID-19 is hitting the continent hard and very fast. The Gambia has recorded about 4,000 infection cases and less than 200 death tolls. Backed by a coalition of 7 opposition parties, Barrow won the December 2016 presidential election and ended the 22-year-old regime of President Yahya Jammeh, who had been forced into exile under the pressure of West African military intervention after refusing to admit defeat.
To Africa's populous nation, Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has confirmed that the external reserves of the country has improved and now stands at $36.39 billion as of January 2021.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has confirmed that the external reserves of the country has improved and now stands at $36.39 billion as of January 2021. Figures obtained from the CBN showed that the reserves, which commenced the year at $35.65 billion, rose to $36.52 billion as of January 25, before experiencing a slight decline.
Let it be known, first and foremost, that the Central Bank of Nigeria is banker to government. Second, let it be known that the Central Bank of Nigeria is a lender of last resort, not just to government, but also even to our banks when they run into short-term liquidity problems.
On the external reserves position, the CBN noted that there had been an increase in the level of external reserves, which stood at $36.23 billion as of January, compared with $34.94 billion at the end of November 2020. The Apex Bank stated that the growth in the external reserves reflected improvement in crude oil prices, partial global economic recovery amid optimism over the discovery and distributions of COVID-19 vaccines by most developed economies. The reserves had experienced decline in recent months due to low oil receipts. External reserves as of October 30, 2020 fell by 0.3% and 10.2% to $35.58 billion, compared with $35.67 billion and $39.61 billion at the end of September 2020 and end of October 2019 in respective order.
As a result of weak accretion to reserves, persistent exchange rate pressures, poor inflow of capital, as well as long-standing structural issues. The Monetary Policy Committee noted the steady build-up of systemic liquidity across global economy arising from the support by fiscal authorities and central banks to bolster the recovery and return confidence to the financial markets. It noted that the response to the pandemic has heightened the risk of debt accumulation, raising concerns of debt sustainability and vulnerability of the global economy to financial crisis once central banks commence normalization of monetary policy.
The economy of Nigeria is a middle-income, mixed economy and emerging market with expanding manufacturing, financial, service, communications, technology, and entertainment sectors. It is ranked as the 26th largest economy in the world in terms of nominal GDP and the 24th largest in terms of purchasing power parity. Kamil Sadiq, CBATV, Nigeria.
Still in Nigeria, as Nigeria continues to record relatively high cases of COVID-19 infection, the presidency has warned against violation of safety guidelines issued to curtail the spread of the virus.
And its review in response to the coronavirus pandemic, the timely confirmation of my nominees and passage of critical legislations by the National Assembly are all testaments to your willingness and commitment to play your part towards delivering effective services to Nigerians.
The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement issued on Sunday, said further violations of the protocols could lead to fresh lockdown. The statement indicated that Buhari administration is reluctant to lock down the country because many citizens will not have food on the table without venturing out for their day-to-day business. He said the COVID-19 pandemic is a threat to the population and the national economy. Therefore, protecting public health is one of the most sacred duties of any responsible government, and the administration will not abdicate that responsibility. The government spokesman appealed the Nigerians to give their maximum cooperation for the success of the policy. Meanwhile, Nigeria has recorded its lowest daily COVID-19 infections since the beginning of the second wave started last December. On Sunday, 685 new cases were reported in 16 states, indicating a significant decrease from the 1,883 reported in the previous 24 hours. Figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control took the number of infections in the country to 131,242. Nigeria also recorded 8 deaths from COVID-19 on Sunday, raising the country's fatality to 1,586 in total.
And with that report, we've come to the end of the news from CBATV, the voice of East Africa and beyond. My name is Ajara Ahmed Tijani. Keep watching. More reports on your way. Bye for now.